Well, welcome back, Bulls fans, to another episode of the Bulls Brothers. AJ, how's it going?
It's going all right. It's going all right. We got a win last week, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, definitely got a win last week. I think first things first, though, we do need to take some time out of this video to talk um, about Coach Amir and the tragic passing and the huge loss for not only the Tampa Bay
Yeah.
community, the USF community, his family. Um, he was a loved man on campus. I had never met anyone. I'd never personally met him, but I've never met someone who has met him who hasn't had great things to say about him and his character. So just wanted to take a second to spotlight that what a tragic loss for the USF community there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very sad to hear, and he will definitely be missed.
Yeah. But like you said, we did go out and get one for him on Friday at in Boca. Had
That's
his
right.
initials on the jerseys. That felt good to kind of go out there and just kind of lift the spirits a little bit. I know the football team has been close with him. He's joined their meetings multiple times. Him and Coach Galesh have become very good friends. So
Yeah.
I know for the football guys too, that meant a lot to be able to go and get a win for him in his name.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and talking about the game a little bit, they did come out starting off a little bit slow there. But they were able to close it down at the end, come out in the second half and really put some good work in to secure that win. So that was very good to see.
Yeah, it was awesome to see our team finish the second half.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
know,
it does seem so far that we can't put a full game together. It's a first half or it's a second half. And Yeah, I mean that's something we got to rectify. We the first half, I just want to say it was we were killing ourselves on the penalties. It was ridiculous. Um, we had I think one penalty on a fourth down, a fourth and one maybe or something like that. Um, and we had a penalty which was delay of game on the defense that gave them first down and luckily I guess there was a lot of wind so the kicker missed the field goal but
yeah,
that put him in scoring range, give them a scoring point and or a chance. And that's we can't give things up like that. We're not quite honestly, we're not a good enough team to be able to give things away. We need to take advantage of everything we got you know and get them off the field when we can.
yeah, get him off the field when we can is right. I mean, that was an interesting delay of game. I don't even think even the announcers were a bit caught off guard. It's not like something you can see from the booth or from the TV. I believe it
Yeah.
was a defensive tackle was clapping his hands or kind of calling a cadence out and to
Yeah,
try to
trying to
trip.
throw off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't think they were going to snap the ball, which is why I was a little frustrated. I think they were trying to get us to possibly jump.
Hmm.
So I don't know kind of what his thought process. Maybe he was just amped up and yelling, and regardless, it ended in a penalty, and it could have been worse.
Hmm.
Not to mention, I mean, we were the 3 points really wouldn't have mattered all that much. I don't think. I mean, they still found a way to pummel us for the rest of that first half.
I was going to say, in the scheme of things, we won 44-21, so it wouldn't have mattered that much, but we were in a close game and we were losing at that point, and
Yeah.
so it matters. Every point matters, and we can't get into a habit of playing from behind because first of all, we're a run first offense. We don't have a great passing game. And so we have to be able to run the ball. And if we're playing from behind, it kind of forces us to go into the air. And we don't necessarily thrive there. I will say that I like to see the deep shots. I like to see Bryce Archie,
Yeah.
going big. And he did, put it together in the second half. And, there were some really good passing plays.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to one passing play that I was both happy with and pretty upset about in the first half. And that was a long pass down the left sideline where Archie put the ball on the receiver's hand, and the receiver never even saw the ball coming. He was surprised when the ball hit his hand. I thought that was great accuracy,
Hmm.
but I just wish our receiver was a little bit more ready to catch it.
Yeah, I want to say that was our first drive, I believe,
It
even.
was, yeah, I think
And
so.
as soon as you're watching the TV, the stream, and you see that play kind of open up right in front of your eyes, so you're thinking, "Holy crap!" First drive, big touchdown play, a big pass
Yeah,
that we haven't really seen all year.
yeah,
Unfortunate how that one worked out. Um, and unfortunately, I feel like it set the tone for the rest of that first half as well. Um, just kind of miscues, and every time we had an ounce, we kind of took it away from ourselves and had a
yeah,
penalty. Um, but like you said, I was happy to see. It almost felt like the offensive coaching staff and Galesh himself were like, we're gonna put our foot down and we're gonna just throw the ball over the top until someone runs into it. I think,
yeah,
and
yeah. We're gonna try it until we get it right. Yeah,
right, and I can appreciate it. I don't love to watch it, especially when you haven't been connecting and it continuing to not connect. But I kind of I see where they're coming from, and I honestly agree with it. Someone's going to run into one eventually. And when that happens, we'll evaluate, but we're not going to stop trying until someone runs into it. So that was fun, but um, more so than even the passing over the top. I don't know about you, but this is something that we've been talking about. I don't know how you felt about it, but the run game, especially in the second half, but even in the first half a little bit, the run game impressed the hell out of me this game.
yeah. Well, that's our deadliest weapon, and so it did. I was happy with the run game. We got a three-headed monster, and I think they were all hitting.
Yeah,
And so
I think the first time we've actually seen all three heads of the three-headed monster really have a great game. Individually, all three of them had good games.
yeah, I agree, and that's something we have to have. And I was very glad to see that show up. And that kind of gives us spark, right? If we can run the ball, then we can, look at throwing it downfield, and we can, kind of play around with some other scenarios here. Uh,
Hmm.
and so I was glad to see that. That's something we're going to have to continue to kind of lean on as we try to start to develop a little bit more of a passing game.
Yeah,
Um, but I will say I am happy overall with Bryce Archie in the quarterback position. I think he is getting more comfortable. I think he's kind of falling into his role there. And I'm happy with
yeah,
what he's doing and the track he's on right now.
yeah, definitely. If we have to continue to use them, I'm not as nervous as I was maybe 2 weeks ago, kind of going into that UAB game
Hmm.
with him fully starting like bona fide. He's the starter this week. That made me nervous, and as nervous, I'm still a tad bit nervous. It's still kind of everything's still a first time thing for him in terms of playing at this level, but he has done everything you could ask for someone who's been a backup to Byram for now 2 years, or I guess a year and a half essentially,
Hmm.
who's never really got that spotlight. The first thing that he's done is always been very okay with and grateful just to be where he's at, and willing to play his role and do everything he can to make the team better in that role.
Hmm.
So that first of all, and then to once next man up, to step into that role and to continue to do everything you can for the team is it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch for him because I know he's earned it. He deserves this. He deserves this time in the spotlight. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm happy for him on that respect.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think if he continues to progress and perform like that, that's kind of, first of all, we're now at 4-4, and we have a real possibility of making a bowl game. And so if he continues to progress for the rest of the season, could end on a high note here, and we can kind of salvage, what 3 weeks ago I was feeling was a lost season. But it looks like we're on a good track here. And if he continues on the track he's on, we could finish out strong. Let's talk about the other side of the ball for a second. Talk about defense a little bit. We had some good pressure. We had a few sacks. Um, but one thing that is, I think, a gaping hole, and literally is a gaping hole, is the line, the defensive line, and keeping containment. There was a lot of times where they just, completely missed the cue, completely lost containment, or, completely opened up a huge gap, for their quarterback. I think maybe is Ward his name as well, the FAU quarterback. But, for him to just, keep her up the middle, and that's too, we can't do that. We have to be able to shut that down. We
Yep.
can't just let them dictate what they want and go where they want.
Yep.
I did also notice, and I don't mean to talk too much here, but I did notice that they originally in the game, their game plan was the same that we've been talking about. The old "we watched your film" game plan.
Hmm.
They had a lot of screens, and it worked to some degree. It
Yep.
it didn't they didn't kill us with it, but it wasn't
It
being
got him out
stopped.
of some tight
Yeah,
squeezes though a couple times.
did
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, they definitely it's hard to imagine at this level, especially of football, that a coaching staff can just let themselves get beat the same way over and over. And
I know.
we were very vocal in how tired we were watching it. And, um, you know, UAB tried it a little bit. They had a little bit of success with that as well. So I don't fault FAU for I think FAU had to assume going in that maybe we had switched our flow up a little bit, but they had to try it because everyone else did. And like you said, it worked for them a couple times, and it didn't a few, and they had to change some things up. We brought a few different looks, but yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah, and it goes back to so first of all, I got to tell you, I'm fighting my own fight right here with this little demon dog. He's trying to gnaw my arm off over here on the side. So that's what you see me getting jerked
Well,
around
he's
for.
excited for USF football.
He is. But Todd Orlando was a defensive coordinator for Herman. And so he knows how he coaches and he knows what his schemes are. And so they knew kind of what they were dealing with even more so than a lot of other teams.
Hmm.
And, you know, quite honestly, Galesh said it just best. If they were a better team, this could have gone different. We can't play behind. And we can't get into these situations with better teams.
Yep.
Um, we were able to, put the
Claw,
clamp on them.
claw
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah, but that's still not promising to see.
No, it's the first half. The starting slow.
Hmm.
Glesh actually mentioned it this week in his presser. He's actually switched their weekly routine up a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what the routine was before, but it seemed like maybe Friday was a very slow, kind of relaxed day, and into
Hmm.
Saturday morning, I think he switched that up to where they're kind of a little bit more active and engaged later in the week. And because he said it almost feels like the last few weeks they were every time they got into a game for the first quarter, first half, realistically, they were just kind of feeling it out still. Like they're like
Hmm.
kind of almost groggy, like they hadn't had pads on in 4 days. And so he's
Hmm.
kind of switched their flow up a little bit. And so hopefully leading into next week, which we'll talk about this, we can't, we cannot come out slow against Navy. As good as they are, we cannot afford to come out slow on both sides of the ball, or this could
No,
get
yeah.
really ugly.
Yeah, they are not only are they a good team, but they're kind of pissed off and hungry right now. They've lost two in a row.
Mm-hmm.
After going 6-0, they've dropped two. One to a, obviously top 10 Notre Dame, and so that's kind of understandable. Um, and then two to Rice,
Hmm.
who they were not expecting to win. I know the circumstances were weird there. I think they had a 5 hour rain delay or something, and so they're coming in, kind of pissed off and looking to kind of make a statement saying, "Hey, hey, hey, these last 2 weeks were a fluke." Um, you know, and we were talking a little bit about what I think is a big hole in the defense, and it's being able to contain the run game. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Navy excels.
Yeah.
We are going to have to contain the run game. We're going to have to do really good at containing, a lot of it. Uh,
Hmm.
and,
Yeah.
we can't let them come out and score quick, and then us get down.
Yeah.
We need to be able to control it from the beginning.
Yeah. We need to set a tone, set the tone
Hmm.
pretty immediately with them. Going back to the presser, Glush did have a lot to say about this new style of offense. It's coming from I want to say the OC. Uh, I don't think head coach has been there for a few years. OC just came over from Mercer,
Hmm.
had kind of like this exciting, explosive offense. And so he's bringing that culture into Navy, which for the academy teams, Navy specifically, anything outside of realistically just a triple option hasn't,
Hmm.
they don't really do anything else. They've always kind of gone the same route. And so that's why, these teams have been somewhat, they've had good years and bad years. It just depends on, how good and how hard the players play for
Hmm.
those teams those years, basically. Other than that, there wasn't too much to figure out. It was, they're going to run these 8 plays over and
Yeah.
over and over again, and you either beat them or you don't.
Yeah. You
And
stop them or you don't. That's right. Yeah.
right, and so now they're bringing a little bit more of a sophisticated offense into this game, and a lot of teams don't really know how to prepare for it. From what I understand, a lot of uh, motions and just kind of a lot of chaos at the line of scrimmage that they kind of bring. And what they're hoping for is essentially just one misalignment.
Hmm.
One guy doesn't react quite right, and he's a half yard in, or he's in the wrong run lane or the wrong gap. That's what they're waiting for, and they're waiting and they're to prey on it. So that's coming into this game. The defensive line, like you were talking about, um, they need
Yeah.
they need to focus in and get really disciplined really fast, because that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the defensive line to shift one lane too far, and
That's right.
bam,
Yeah.
that's where they're going to kill you.
Yeah,
And
and so they've also been watching the film, and so they know we're not really disciplined. They know, kind of where our weaknesses lie, and they're going to be trying to take advantage of that. And so we need to be on point. Our defensive line has to be on point.
yeah,
And I have faith in our coaches that they're letting them know that as well.
I'm sure they are. I mean, he's like I said, Galesh talked pretty extensively about it in the presser on
Hmm.
Tuesday, and it was essentially. I mean, he talked maybe 5 or 10 minutes about the FAU game. Essentially, everything was about like lane discipline.
Hmm.
You know, you going into the play, you have a spot to be in, and if they trick you into not being into that spot, we're gonna get killed. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what he laid it out on the table. That's what it's going to be. Are we disciplined enough on defense to be in the right spot? Yes or no? And that's going to be the difference between us keeping it tight and maybe winning or losing by 40 points.
Hmm.
And I think that's been the difference for every team they played, and that's why they've been so successful this year. Is they're not saying come to the game more physical than us, because Navy coming into any game, odds are going to be outmatched physically because of just the nature of the academy and how they
Hmm.
can
And their
recruit,
athletes. Yeah.
right? But they're coming into this game saying, are you going to keep your head on straight long enough for us
Uh-huh.
to not score 40 points on you? And
Yeah.
that's your challenge. Can you run faster than me or hit harder or lift more? Maybe. Are you as disciplined as I am? We'll see. And that's kind
Hmm.
of where it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
It is. It is. Yeah, and for us on the offensive side, we need to. I know we like to go and play fast, and you know, but we need to make sure to give our defense, plenty of time to rest, in between their drives. We need to control the ball a little bit. We can't afford a 30-second three and out. We need to go out there and drive and put points on the board. We also can't afford to not have points out of every drive. Because I think Navy is going to score. They're going to score a lot on us. We need to be able to score more,
Hmm.
and hold them a couple times. This dog is getting crazy. This dog is like Navy's offense. He's just going to keep driving and running and biting and trying to find a weakness over here and get me.
Yeah, you better be disciplined.
Need
Yeah.
to discipline him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so I guess enough about football itself. Let's talk a little bit of gossip. A little bit of gossip, a little bit of news. Just interesting topics to talk about, before we close things out. Um, First thing I want to talk about is post FAU win, the
Yeah.
handshake or almost lack thereof between the two head coaches. You know, I personally I liked it, and I like it for certain reasons, but I just want to know kind of what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. I think Galesh had his reasons. He did go out there. So this is something I saw Tom Herman say that he slapped my hand away. He didn't slap his hand away. He just never broke stride on the handshake. He, shot his hand out there, shook his hand, and kept on going. He didn't have
Actually, it looked
time
like
for pleasantries.
a nice firm handshake as well.
It did, right?
And
He bam and
yeah,
kept it moving. And Tom got all up in a hissy fit trying to, come back and yell at him, but he's kind of the one that created this situation. And so I had no problem with it at all. Galesh
mm-mm,
has no love for him, no time to talk shit with him.
mm-mm.
He doesn't care. And I think that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair. And so I didn't at the time I kind of realize what was happening, but after kind of looking back at what the situation was, I'm all right with it.
yeah. Oh, I'm more than all right with it. I think, um, you know, the FAU coach spent some time possibly, not necessarily bad mouthing, but kind of egging things on prior to the game. Um, and so that's somewhat of what, Coach Galesh didn't like. Um, Obviously, coming in from last year's FAU game, Coach Galesh had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, wanted to go out there and show them,
Hmm.
what we're really made of. Um, and the third part of it is they FAU and USF were relatively close in proximity, or they're newly into our conference, and we just lost, our arch rival UCF to the Big 12, so we haven't had him on the schedule.
Hmm.
It's a very strange situation where, not that we're in a position to disrespect FAU necessarily, but it's almost weird how much they want to be rivals with us. Like, you're not our rival. It's not the case. We don't really have any animosity towards you guys. Um,
Well,
and so
mhm.
that's what they basically Galesh said, okay, you want it, then here it is. You want a rivalry, then here it is. If you want
Hmm.
me to treat you like a rival, then I'll treat you like a rival.
Yeah, and that's right. And we don't have any ground to disrespect anyone.
No,
Uh, you know,
I'm not coming from like I'm on
w-
my high horse saying, they're not as good as we are. That's not the case.
no,
It's just, like it develops naturally. You can't force a rivalry to happen
that
in 2 years.
That's right. That's right. And now, what I think is developing out of this is just a disdain and a dislike of the programs, which I guess can be the seeds of a rivalry,
Yeah.
but it's not. Uh, I don't think. I don't give a shit about FAU and a rivalry with them. And they do look at us as a bigger program, and they want to kind of knock us down a peg, which it's hard to knock us down a peg, with what we're doing to ourselves, right? I mean,
We're doing
they
it. Yeah,
beat
that's what
us.
I'm saying.
Yeah, they beat us last year. We beat them this year, but we're not like, yeah, we beat FAU. We're like, ooh, God, we didn't lose another one, is what
Yeah.
we're like. We don't
Right.
care that it's FAU, and you know, now Navy, we're coming into this game, and this is a good opponent. This is a game we want to win. And you know, FAU, it's just a game that you know, we don't want to lose,
Don't want to lose
essentially.
because, I don't want to hear it from maybe the FAU fans, but yeah, it's just it's not a game that, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for the FAU game. It's just not
Yeah,
it's not
yeah, yeah.
there, not yet. I'm not saying it's never going to be there, but just not quite yet. We need to play each other 5 or 6 or 7, more times. There needs to be some close ones. There needs to be some blowouts.
Hmm.
Maybe compete for a title or two in the conference. That's kind
Yeah,
of where it comes from. Like the proximity to UCF was the start, and like that's where they're basing it off of. I think is that they're also close to us.
yeah.
UCF and USF started just that
And
rivalry
and
started
they're a
because
relatively young, Florida program, and they're in our conference, and so I could see, and quite honestly, for recruiting, it is good to have kind of a rivalry matchup, something that you want the kids to be excited about coming out, and
yeah. Well, and that's what Gillespie talked about in the presser, though. He was like, "We don't even recruit against each other."
yeah,
He literally said in the post game presser, "I can't think of a guy that we had to compete with them for." Which
no,
that's like the
and
coaches can't even really have a rivalry because they're not even competing against each other.
yeah, exactly. And didn't we actually get a couple of transfers from FAU
I think
this year?
yeah, we did. We had a couple of guys transfer in, but
Yeah,
yeah, that happens every year. We're not going. They're
yeah,
not. Galesh and the FAU staff are not going into the same living rooms and talking to moms and dads.
yeah.
It was a strange. It's a strange thing to me that FAU wants so badly for us to dislike them.
And we don't really care. We
And we're like, yeah,
we
whatever.
quite honestly,
I was like,
we
honestly, we
are
don't want to play you guys anymore. We want to get into a conference where we don't have to see you ever again.
exactly. And you know, we need to be worried about ourselves. We
Yeah,
can't be worried about, creating other rivalries. We're trying to worry about fixing our program, fixing our culture and
yeah,
getting ourselves on the right track. And like you said, getting into another conference so we don't have to deal with this little pipsqueak over here,
yeah.
FAU. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
In terms of basketball, it's a little bit different. I think their basketball program is a much more well-known and nationally ranked program. So when they
mhm.
come to the Yingling Center or when we go there, it's we definitely want to beat them, but that's just because they're a good program. And if you have them on your schedule and you can beat them, you want to beat them, right? In
Yeah,
basketball. It's just not the same in football.
yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
But
And so in other news, by the way, we are breaking ground on the stadium this weekend.
Yep, that's just what I was going to bring up next as the second piece of
Good.
interesting. I don't know if you guys were able to see the new renderings they dropped on Instagram and all over their social medias.
Hmm.
Um, that makes me excited.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. One thing that I'm a little bit confused about, they have this the student section, they have the big U in the
Yeah,
bull U in the student section. Um, and I'm just, I'm looking at the pictures and it just looks like I don't understand what they're trying to do there. There's a couple like single seats,
yeah.
and things like that. And I appreciate them having, the logo there. Um, but I'm just interested to see how it'll actually come out.
Look, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems yeah. It's an interesting concept, but I will have to see what it looks like in person, and I'm sure once they get like very seriously down into the blue pen, someone's talked about it before. I
Yeah.
have to assume like they're not just going to build it and be like, oh yeah, that looks
You
strange.
know what? There's one guy sitting by himself in the corner of that horn,
Yeah, and the horn and he's curved backwards almost, right? Like, no, I think someone's had to have kind of discussed that before, but yeah, the rendering they looked great. The only thing that I you're breaking ground right on
Yeah.
Saturday, the homecoming against Navy, awesome. Are we going to get a little bit more than just these like kind of like off angled shots of like a quarter of a seating, like a section? Like I know maybe they don't have it developed, but like, can we speed that up a little bit? we want to
Yeah, on the
see like
release of what, yeah.
right? We want to see like, can you give us a 3D tour? Like, can we see a full stadium shot of the inside? Like, we want to see some details. It's been, I mean, we've been waiting for ages for this, but since it's even been approved, I mean, it's almost over a year at this point, and we really only have like fragments of pictures to kind of look at. And
Hmm.
so I'm hoping, this Saturday they break ground. Everything's kind of out on the table. Here's what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, and uh, even what they're going to show us, if they show us anything more on Saturday, will just be renderings. So it won't be exactly what it is. And I'm not so concerned with, I guess, the details of it. I know it's exciting, and I am ready to see it. But I've been waiting, since what, 1997.
Mhm.
So I'm going on waiting 30 years, to see this, and especially before it's actually, playable is 2027. So it'll be 30 years of the program when we get our own stadium. So I'm all right with not knowing every detail right away,
Yeah,
but it is exciting that we're making progress there.
yeah, yeah. It is exciting for everyone,
Hmm.
students, fans, recruits, even past players are going to be excited to see almost the house that I guess they built, so to say. Um,
Yeah. Who? What realm of good players?
well, right. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
handful of teams that you could say like
yeah,
maybe the progress that you kind of gave us put us in this direction. Um,
yeah.
but no, yeah. Other than that, it's going to be exciting to watch USF play Navy. I think it's a noon kickoff on Wednesday, so
Is
we'll be
on Sunday
doing
or Saturday.
on Saturday. Yep. So we'll be doing
Yeah,
some kegs and eggs outside the stadium.
yeah.
Um, we'll be out at the game. We'll do some live updates. Hopefully, we get some good weather and some good football. But other than that, unless you have anything else, AJ, I think we're gonna call it.
No, yeah. That caps it off for me too.
All right. Well, once again, follow us on Instagram _Bulls Brothers. We will, like I said, be posting some updates of the game and enjoy a view of a cute little puppy.
Yeah. All right. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.